Hi there. In this video I'm gonna talk to you about the Dutch language, or het Nederlands. Well, to start with, um, many people, at least here in Mexico, don't seem to know this language whatsoever. I mean, it's as a matter of fact, I have friends who have asked me what this language was. My experience learning this language for a while, uh, I'm gonna I'm gonna share to you a few features I found interesting about this language. So let's get started. Dutch is a Germanic language, and as some of you know, the very same language I'm speaking right now comes from that same family, and the Germanic language family. It's pretty popular, I think. And German is also a Germanic language. So yeah, many people say that Dutch um, is somewhere between English and German. Also in terms of grammar, you know, Dutch grammar is way harder than English grammar, but it's, I mean, it's much easier to learn than German. I mean, German is insanely hard to learn, in my opinion. Anyway, I was just comparing the three languages. Um, Although I gotta say that learning Dutch is kind of rewarding if you know English already, because the both languages share a lot of vocabulary. I mean, there are many words that are really similar to English. That are gonna be easy to learn to acquire, such as, I don't know, water and apple, school, goed, cat, vriend, and many others. But another thing that really stood out to me was the fact that I found some words in Dutch that are really similar to Spanish, my own native language, and I mean they're more similar to Spanish than to English, and that's kind of interesting. You know, for example, to say congratulations in Dutch, that would be gefeliciteerd, and whereas in Spanish that's felicidades. So I see a connection here. Don't know about you guys. Anyway, another word uh, is a word for level in Dutch. That would be niveau, and I think that one actually comes from French, if I'm not mistaken. But still, it's way more similar to Spanish than it is to English. You know, in Spanish, it's nivel, so you can see the connection. Also, one more example would be the word for weird. Uh, in Dutch, that would be raar. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. But yeah, in Spanish, that's raro. So I found that really interesting. That that's not and that's similar to English, but really similar to Spanish, and they're not in the same family. So I found that kind of interesting. So yeah. Anyway, in this time learning Dutch, I have come across some long words in Dutch, and I found that really interesting. In German, it is the same. There are like some words that are really long. And I'm gonna give you a couple examples. Um, we have my pronunciation probably sucks, so sorry about that. But we have verjaardagscadeau. Um, Also bezienswaardigheid en verantwoordelijkheid, onvoorwaardelijkheid. I know I still need to practice those a little more, but this last one, since we've been having all this pandemic situation, I got to know this word, which is Wereldgezondheidsorganisatie. It sounds frightening, doesn't it? And as you can see, it's like three English words combined in one single word in Dutch. And what I wanted to stress here is that in most cases, that's gonna be it. I mean, there are a lot of terms in Dutch and also in German that are really, really long, and that's kind of intimidated. That may be intimidated for many students, and it was intimidating for me at the very beginning. But then I got to understand that these long words and the words I said were not really that long, but still, I felt intimidated. You're gonna get to understand that as long as you know some terms, some singular words, you're gonna be able to understand longer and longer words because there are many words that are combinations of more than one term. So if you're learning a language that has long words such as Dutch, German, I don't know, Turkish, and some others, you should not feel intimidated by this feature. Anyway, so now I would like to talk to you about a little bit of grammar, and I know this is gonna sound boring, but there are a couple of features I found really interesting and that I have myself only found in the Dutch language. So I'm gonna start with the word er, and which means something like there in English, but these words got many other usages, and I'm not gonna mention them all. I'm just gonna, you know, tell you a couple of them. Okay, guys, and in English, you guys have a specific word to replace objects and stuff like that. That word is it, and that word can be combined with a preposition with no problem at all. You can say like with it, without it, and for it, against it. I don't know. There are many prepositions you can easily combine with the word it, and that's okay in English. But in Dutch, it's not. Let me give you an example. And if you want to say something like I like the book in Dutch, that would be ik hou van het boek. But if you want to say if you only want to say I like it, replacing the book, because that's what it is for. And in Dutch, you might think it's just ik hou van het. That would be, according to English, that would be the literal translation. That would be okay in English, but in Dutch it wouldn't. Here, you have to use the word er to do that replacement, and so you have to form the sentence in this structure. Ik hou ervan, and it's one word, ervan. It's a word er plus a preposition, but it's actually not that simple, because if you got more elements in the sentence, you have to put some of them in between the word er and the preposition you're using. And for example, if you want to say I really like it, meaning the book, and I really like the book. But if you want to say I really like it, you have to put it this way. Ik hou echt van. Ik hou echt van. Please forgive my pronunciation again. but it's something like this. This makes it a little more tricky to master. And this is not it. There are more words that function in that way. And let me explain what I mean. The same thing happens if you wanna, um, I don't know, if you have the word that, um, in Dutch, that's dot. It's almost the same, but if you wanna put that in a sentence with a preposition, you can use that. It's the very same case that then the word it, het, and instead you use the word dar, which also means something like there in English. So it's kind of confusing. I myself got confused at first, and yeah, well, just to give you an example. So, for example, if you want to say, I like that, you use the very same structure we used in the previous example. And you would say in Dutch, ik hou daarvan. Ik hou daarvan. And yeah, and the very same thing happens to the word for what. In Dutch it's wat, but you can't say but when a preposition is involved in a sentence. You have to say var, which means where. So what is this? I mean, I found this really, I don't know. I don't even know how to explain this. It just didn't feel right, you know? So if you want to ask, what are you thinking? I mean, if you're just asking, what are you thinking? That's what think, yeah, yay. But if you want to ask, what are you thinking about is a preposition. So you can't say, you can't use the word but, instead you have to use the word var. It's like you're saying, where are you thinking about? In English, that doesn't make any sense, but in Dutch, it does. So you have to say waar denk jij aan. That's really interesting. I mean, the same thing happens, exact same thing happens with the word for this. I mean, dit becomes hier, which means here. And that's really confusing. Also, it's the very same thing with the words for something and nothing. So it becomes ergens, and and niet becomes nergens. It's the same case. So yeah, that's really tricky, but I finally got to understand how it works, and I found it really fascinating. I don't know about you guys. I wanted to dive a little more into grammar, but I don't think that's gonna be possible because this video is gonna be too long. So I'm just gonna stop right here. If you want me to talk a little bit more about this language, you let me know in the comments. But so yeah, now I'm in love with this language, and keep going with learning it. So I hope you liked the video, and I'll see you in the next one.